Matty back again, and today I'm actually going through my backpacking gear, getting my gear loaded up for hopefully an upcoming solo backpacking trip. And as I'm going through my gear, I'm kind of looking at a couple pieces of gear that I carry in my backpacking kit that have definitely helped me out in a pinch and kind of helped me get through some crappy situations out on trail. And I thought we'd kind of go through some of these little tips and hacks and little pieces of gear that I carry in my kit that not everybody may think about and you may not have in your kit. And if you don't have these in your kit, I can almost guarantee that adding these little pieces of gear and adding these little tips and tricks to your backpacking gear loadout can definitely help you out in the long run and help you get through some difficult times out on trail. The first one that we're going to talk about today has to do with sun protection. Up here in the Rockies right now, we are dealing with some pretty heavy smoke conditions, but sun protection is definitely still important even with these smoky, hazy conditions. It's never a bad thing to think about sun protection. And I'm pretty sure everybody carries some kind of sunblock with them out on trail, you know, be it some sunscreen or whatever. But one thing that I don't think enough people take into consideration is carrying lip chap with them out on trail, and more specifically lip chap that has an SPF rating to it. Now the lip chap that I carry, it's a hemp lip chap and it's got an SPF rating of 30. So when I'm out there on trail, you know, I put lip chap on almost every single day. There is nothing worse than dealing with dry chapped lips out on trail, especially in these warm conditions when you get the sun beating down on you. There is nothing worse that adds to dry chapped lips than getting a sunburn on your lips. So grabbing some lip chap and adding it to your backpacking kit, especially lip chap that's got an SPF rating to it, is definitely going to help you guys out. And rolling into tips number 2 and actually tip number 3 as well, we're going to go to my first aid kit / repair kit. Now, as you guys are probably aware, I build my own first aid kit. I don't really like the pre-packaged, pre-made first aid kits, and I store it all in a Ziploc freezer bag. Primarily to make it easier to find everything that's in my first aid kit, and it makes it really easy to find the first item that we're going to talk about, which is tip number 2, and that is zip ties. Now I carry 4 zip ties in my little first aid repair kit here. I can't tell you guys how many times zip ties have come through in a pinch, be it a broken buckle on my pack or a broken strap even, or, you know, just giving it to somebody else when they've got a broken buckle or a strap. So I've used zip ties to repair shoelaces before. There's an infinite amount of ways that zip ties are useful to you out on trail. They really don't weigh much. I honestly couldn't even get a weight rating on my kitchen scale on the zip ties. But yeah, I carry 4 of them in my little first aid / repair kit. If you don't carry zip ties on you, I can't stress enough. Grab a couple zip ties, throw them in your backpacking kit. Even if you guys are ultralight, you know, these things come through in a pinch. A couple years ago when I was backpacking part of the Great Divide Trail, I bumped into a thru hiker who had torn a part of her pack, and myself and another hiker that I was with, we actually gave her a couple zip ties to help repair her pack and get her through a little stretch of trail. Now, as I mentioned, tip number 3 has to do with my first aid / repair kit, and it also has to do with my water bottles out on trail. Now, I almost exclusively use the smart water bottles. Like, I'm pretty sure almost everybody who does ultralight backpacking or is a little bit of a weight conscious backpacker, I'm sure most of you guys and gals have made the switch from heavy Nalgene bottles over to the smart water bottles. If you guys haven't made the switch already, I highly suggest taking a look at the little disposable 1 liter smart bottle. These things will last a long freaking time. This bottle here is about 3.5, 4 years old, still kicking, still in really good shape, no cracks, no leaks whatsoever. But the only issue that I have ever had with smart bottles is the lid itself. Actually, I've never actually lost the lid on one of these bottles, but I did inadvertently melt one. I wasn't paying attention to where I had set the lid down, and someone I was hiking with got their stove going and their windscreen got really warm, and the little lid kind of blew against their windscreen and melted the lid on my smart bottle. I was fortunate enough to get through the trip without losing water out on trail, because as I dive into my first aid kit, I'll show you guys something that I carry in there that you guys may not carry, but if you do, it'll definitely help you if you have a mishap with the lid of your smart water bottle. And diving into my first aid kit, I carry an extra lid for a smart water bottle. Now, this thing literally weighs nothing. Much like the zip ties I carry in here, I also could not get a weight rating on the lid for the smart water bottle, but you know, it takes up really no space. It's just kind of one of those no-brainer things to me. I just threw it in my first aid kit and you kind of almost forget about it. I've also actually given out a cap on a previous backpacking trip to someone who just set it down and just wasn't able to find it. Not sure if it had, dropped into the creek and kind of washed away, or just kind of got lost in the rocks that they set it down on when they were filtering their water. But, really small, really easy to misplace. So just, throwing an extra lid for your smart water bottle in your first aid kit or in another spot in your pack can definitely help you out in a pinch. Water is pretty much the most important thing when you're out on trail. You got to keep hydrated. You don't want to be carrying around a water bottle that you're spilling everywhere, so you want to be able to keep your water sealed. So toss an extra cap inside your first aid kit. You never know when it's going to help you out. All right, next up, we're going to talk footwear a little bit. As you guys and gals are probably aware, I am a big lover of my trail runners out on trail. I'm not really a big fan of the full leather hiking boot anymore. I just prefer the mobility and lightweight nature and the fact that they dry out really fast. I love trail runners. And one thing I get asked all the time is, what do you do to keep rocks and debris and sticks and twigs and whatever from getting inside your trail runners when you're out on trail? I know a lot of people like wearing gaiters when they wear their full leather boots. And when people think about going to trail runners, obviously you don't really want to be wearing a full, waterproof Gore-Tex gaiter when you're out on trail with trail runners, especially if you're going with a non-waterproof trail runner. So the solution to that, these awesome little gaiters here made by a company called Dirty Girl. For one, they're called Dirty Girl gaiters, which just to me makes them pretty awesome. It's a pretty badass name, but they work freaking awesome. They're a little lightweight, kind of like a spandexy material. They're very stretchy. They dry out really fast. They've got a little hook on the front end that you hook around your lace. Obviously your foot is inside here up to your ankle. And then on the back of it, it's got a little Velcro tab, or like the hook and loop attachment, Velcro. And they come with a little strip of the opposite side Velcro. So like the more stiffer side Velcro, this is the fuzzy side Velcro in the back of these. And you just pull it down over top and Velcro it on there. And it seals up nicely around your shoe. They look pretty sweet. They come in a whole bunch of cool different colors. So if you guys are looking at going to trail runners and you're kind of wondering, how do you keep debris and stuff out of your shoes, definitely look into a set of the Dirty Girl gaiters. And like I always do, all the gear I'm talking about in this video, I will post links down in the description box down below if you want to check any of it out. Next, we're going to talk a little bit of bear safety, and more specifically your bear line when it comes to hanging your food and keeping your food safe and away from bears and other critters at night when you're sleeping out in the backcountry. And it's primarily got to do with this little stuff sack here that I carry my bear line in. Now, I know most people will just carry a little hank of cordage here. I've got 50 feet of a really high strength, I think it's like 900-pound test Spectra line with just a little AM steel soft shackle I made. It kind of acts as my carabiner. And I know a lot of people will just carry a little setup like this, and they'll just tie a stick and throw their stick over the branch. Throwing it using a stick does kind of work in a pinch, but it is nowhere near as easy as just carrying a little tiny stuff sack like this. I mean, this thing is ridiculously small. I use it to store my cordage in, but where the stuff sack really helps out is you put a couple rocks inside of here, seal it off, and then this one here, I've got a little tab sewn onto it. This is one that was made by James over at Little Shop of Hammocks. This was something he custom made for me, but you can pick, the little rock sack bags up almost anywhere, or even if you've just got a little sill stuff sack kicking around, it doesn't even have to be one this small. If a stuff sack this size is all you got, this will definitely work. Attach your bear cord to there with a carabiner or just tie it on. Fill it with a couple rocks, and then you throw that up over the tree. Unless your name is Charlene, this tends to work really, really well. Carry yourself a little stuff sack like this, stuff some rocks in it, attach your cord to it. It's going to make throwing that rope over the tree branch so much easier. And while I've got my bear line out here, a bonus tip for any of you guys and gals who backpack with your dogs out in the backcountry, like I do with Wanda all the time. If you hike in areas that leashes are required all the time, like say the national parks up here in Canada, you do have to have your dog on leash at all times. In situations like that, where I'm hiking with Wanda in areas where I have to have her on leash at all times, I use my 50-foot bear line as a dog run. So I just string this up between two trees at, about chest level for me. It's bright green, so it's pretty easy to see. This has also got a little reflective tracer inside of it, so at nighttime you can kind of see it catching the light. So if you're, walking by with your headlamp, you're hopefully not going to clothesline yourself with it. But like I said, I string this up between 2 trees. I'll usually give her about 30 feet, and then I just clip her leash to this, and it gives her, 30 feet of space where she can kind of move back and forth, so she's not stuck completely attached to me all the time. I know a lot of people hesitate from taking their dogs out in the backcountry because they don't necessarily want to have their dog attached to them at the hip all the time. So using your bear line to make a simple dog run definitely helps out, and it also helps eliminate weight because you're using a piece of gear that is now multi-purpose, and it shaves weight out of your backpack because when I take Wanda out on backpacking trips with me, she carries this because she's carrying her dog run, and I just use her dog run to hang my food. And as I'm talking about my bear line and how I use it as a multi-purpose piece of gear, I use a lot of my different pieces of gear as multi-purpose, and that kind of helps me shave weight out of my backpacking kit. And if that's something that you're interested in and you're looking at shaving weight out of your backpacking kit and looking for some ways to use your different gear as multi-purpose items, I've got an entire playlist full of weight-saving backpacking tips, and I'll fire it right here for you. So we're done with this video. Find a video in that playlist, check it out. And as always, I am Matty. Thank you so dang much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.